we have like a subscription. We're partnered with them, that's why we get it for free.
Oh, nice.
They
You go to
don't-
wordwheel.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a big Mosley button.
Yeah, just click on that and take you where you need to be. Okay.
And what's free?
It's continuing education.
All continuing ed?
Mhm.
Wow.
I don't have to go over the car for
You
everything.
don't have to
You
go to
don't have to go to
college.
car at all. You don't want to.
Unless you want to. Unless you want to.
Like sit there with a
Just
bottle
go
of
for
rum and
the,
get
just go for the
continuing
fun
ed.
stuff.
I mean, they're so friendly over there.
Well, that's kind of good to know, though.
Okay, yeah, okay, I think at the bottom of our, there it is. Easy to find.
What are you gonna do? I've got a few hours to take here, so I better get going.
This is my first hour of my next routine of CE.
I know it's, for me, it's 30 hours, because it's my first year. Is it 30 every year?
No.
Does it go down?
It's like 17.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's good to know.
I just met John, but I don't think I met you two. I'm Steve from Winter
Oh, I see, I'm Sarah, we
Sarah.
just see.
Creek.
And I'm Charlie. I was gonna do an open house for you.
Oh, yeah. Charlie, Ben
They
did.
did, right. I knew, I thought I recognized the face when you came there.
And I texted with your wife the other day, did she tell you about this?
No,
So about a week
it's
ago,
too much.
I got this text about, something nursing related that I had no idea. And I said, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. And at this point, I didn't know who she was. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. I get another text yesterday or 2 days ago about something else with nursing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I think you have the same wrong number again.
Same wrong text number.
Yeah. And so she said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I said, well, as you're in the, in the nursing program, if you happen to know of any students who are looking for nanny positions for the summer, please let me know. Sorry, that's a random question. And she goes, oh, well, I might. And then she goes, I have no idea where I got your number. And I said, well, this is Sarah Buchinsky with Roy Wheeler. I'm also a covenant mom, and I go to Crozet United Methodist Church. Like, any of those ring a bell? And she goes, yes, I'm Charles' wife. And so we still don't know how she got my number, but anyway, so we had a very nice exchange.
Well, there you go.
She's asking around some of her students if they need a summer nanny position, so
Wow.
Well, you're looking for a nanny.
just for the summer. Yeah,
Well, if you get one of them, that's a top, that's gonna be a top nanny.
yes.
Those kids down there or something.
Mhm.
Nursing's good. Nursing.
The nursing students, that program is probably one of the top nursing programs.
Yeah, I got a niece in that, right? First year.
A fine looking group of people.
Hey, the A student, 18 here.
Oh, you say that to every.
I wouldn't say the A students, but the 18. We'll see if we're A students or not.
That's right. Well, the good news is there's
The first for
there's
me.
no, there's
There's
not,
no
there's no test.
I'm gonna pass for a change.
Right.
Michael, that's why
I
I
like
said
it.
that.
He knew that.
That's exactly right.
So I'm gonna pass finally.
Let me, this is where the CE. Yeah, I'm gonna get Debbie to do a sign up sheet for this 1 hour related class. Yeah, related subjects or whatever.
Miscellaneous.
But you pay $10, I think, on that. You pay $10
Of course you do.
to process, to process it for you.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
take a look at
So
it.
just so you know, I was
Yeah.
not expecting that.
Yeah. I've become pretty accustomed to figuring out that if you say hello to cars, they got their hand out.
It's $5. It's not if you want them to say,
Yeah.
how are you today?
Yeah. Doesn't shock me anymore.
Right. Mike, was that right for the CE? It's like a $10 charge per car to.
Yeah, to process it. So what'll happen is, we'll submit it, we'll pay it, and then you'll see it on your agent statement. So, so that they can process it, that way. And unfortunately, if anybody is listening in, you can't get credit unless you're here. But hopefully we can make it worth your while anyway. You have to be actually, that's right, you actually have to be, that's right, you have to be in attendance. So, does everybody know each other?
We
just
yeah.
introduced ourselves.
Steve, yeah.
So
I'm Charlie.
I'm Tammy.
Tammy's in the green office.
Okay.
Charlie, and you and Steve actually met at some point,
well,
or you
we just-
corresponded?
Yeah, we have.
Okay, good. So Steve's up at the Winter Green office, and I was happily expecting to see your wife here this morning too. 'Cause she's-
Yes.
You know, I wasn't sure whether or not that was appropriate or not.
No, she's come, I've told her to come to any class she wants and, listen in online if she wants to and that kind of thing. And she was very gracious in the fact that she, heard that I was speaking at the Leading RE conference, and she emailed me the other day and said, did they video it? Because I'd love to watch it. And I said, it was really exciting to be on the panel, for this power broker panel. But it wasn't a big enough deal that they were video me. I think there's a picture of me up on the podium. But anyway, this class is about promoting your personal business, and for me, it's one of the most. It's a class that I really enjoy teaching. There's certain things that I like teaching more than others. I like teaching this one because I just think if you get it, if you figure this out, it makes just such a huge difference in the kind of success you're going to experience. And they're just small little things that you can do that maybe you aren't doing already that can really make a difference. At the business meeting yesterday, Chris and I talked a little bit about being at the conference, and not to belabor the point, but I really believe that our industry is going in two different directions. The one direction is all online. That you don't even have to have an office. There's all this cloud stuff, and that you just have to, they're going to provide you everything, and you're going to get all your leads, and never the two shall meet, so to speak. And certainly that's a business model that's being initiated right now. We'll have to wait and see what kind of success, or whether it really works long term. I personally believe that there's a lot to synergy. There's a lot to being together, learning from each other, that kind of thing. So the first one is this whole cloud thing and online, and everything is going to come there, and all your leads are going to come from there, and that kind of thing. And that's absolutely true, and you have to be involved in it. But the other side, and Brian Buffini has talked about it, a number of people at this conference talked about it, that no matter what happens from all that, it's about relationships. And if you are committed and you discipline yourself and you create systems to build relationships with people, then it doesn't matter whether they're online or not. They're going to ultimately, thank you, they're going to ultimately, if you don't have your license number, if you don't have your license number, we can figure it out for you. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just let it start with 0225. You're in a good place. But anyway, even if people are totally online, if they have a relationship with you, you've built rapport with them, you've gained credibility with them, you've showed them that you care, you're constantly in touch with them. When they think about real estate, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, we're thinking about doing this. And folks, don't limit yourself to here. Don't limit yourself to buyers or sellers. Because of the Leading RE network, you can help people anywhere in the country. And I can honestly tell you that I have people from all over the country that email me and say, I'm thinking about buying a house here, or I'm thinking about selling a house here, and blah, blah, blah. And do you know somebody there that is like you, that I can, work with? And I reach out to Rhea, and if it, depending on the situation, I may even want to talk to the agent first. Sometimes I just trust, because Leading RE, the brokers have to be either number one or two in the market. They have to be, folks like ourselves. I just emailed Ginny yesterday. She got a really nice outgoing referral check. Yes, it was a significant one. And, I congratulated her and her response back was the gal in the other end was awesome. Just did a phenomenal job. But the point being is, don't limit yourself to just here. And if somebody thinking about buying here or selling here, it could be a second home in the Outer Banks. It could be whatever. What you want to do is become the trusted resource from those people, so that yes, there is the online stuff. There's no doubt about it. You need to make sure that you're present. Sarah, I used your example yesterday. I didn't use your name, but I used your example yesterday that somebody Googled Charlottesville real estate, found Roy Wheeler at the top of the page, went on our website, chose Sarah, went through her bio, chose Sarah, and it just came from that. So those things are absolutely going to happen. So one, you have to make sure you're present, and we're trying to help you along with that, even if you don't have a website. Now NAR, if you go on your NAR website and sign up, you can actually get a free website developed through your fees. But I forget who it was in our office. Oh, it was Sandy Collins. I got an email from Sandy Collins last night, and underneath her name says www.roywheeler/Sandy Collins Realtor or whatever. And when you click on that, it goes to her agent profile.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like having a website, because the agent profile has your bio on it. It has, if you have listings, it shows your listings up. If you've got testimonials, it shows the testimonials. And it has all the stuff that roywheeler.com is providing to buyers and sellers. So if you haven't done that or you don't understand it, get with Chris. Chris will help you make that happen. So all that being said is why I like teaching this class, because it's all about that. It's all about ways to build, to find people, to promote yourself, and when you find them, ways to build rapport, to gain credibility, to show people you care. And if you do that, ultimately, your business is going to grow. Steve's been in the business, quite some time, and he can tell you that, a bunch of his business is coming from people who know him, or Tammy, who know her. Terry, you're beginning to experience that, of people reaching out to you because you've done business before. They know somebody that you knew. The cool thing about it is, it's one of the ways that allows you to make more money, be more productive, but not have to work so hard to find the people to work with, because you want to keep on doing what got you busy in the first place, right? You want to keep on doing those things that generate leads and things. But what ends up happening is you keep on doing what you've been doing in the first place, and now people are returning to you or referring people to you. It just ups the ante for you in regards to the number of people that you're working. And so, I really believe that when you're starting out, it's hard work to learn everything and to begin to have people to work with and blah, blah, blah. But the next year is a little bit easier. The next year is a little easier if you do it right, because those people are coming back to you. And there's no doubt that you guys are doing it right, because 98.6% of the people that send surveys back say, they were treated excellently or very good, and that they would recommend you to a friend. So, just an overview of what personal promotion means, ways to make contacts, turning into a target database, earning the right to do business with your sphere of influence. I love that, earning the right to do business. I'd like to earn the right. I mean, it's just a term, but it makes so much sense that I don't just expect to get the business from you. I want to earn that right. Specific ways to market yourself that make you different from everyone else, and then using social media to enhance your marketing efforts. So the discussion is first and foremost about being part of the conversation. Secondly, boiling down to one word. When somebody asks me, am I going to be successful in this business? And you only have one word to use, what would it be? I would say the word's contacts. If you have a lot of contacts, you're going to be in great shape. If you don't, you better figure out how to get them. Because if you don't have them, you can know the contract up and down, you can know the listing agreement up and down, you could be the best negotiator ever. But if you got nobody to negotiate with, it doesn't make any difference, right? And so it all boils down, to that one word, contacts. And from my standpoint, the successful business lead generation chain looks like this. You have a contact, you turn them into a suspect. You ultimately spend more time with them and decide that they're a prospect. They become a customer. You sign them up either as an exclusive right to represent as a buyer or exclusive right to sell. They become clients, which makes them buyers and sellers and ultimately dollars earned. That's sort of the real estate food chain, if you will. And as you look at it, as you start getting in the business, you start seeing, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. So what you have to do is make the weakest link stronger. So there are a lot of people that may have a lot of contacts, but they don't know how to qualify them into suspect, prospect, customer, client, right? They got a lot of contacts, but so now that's my link. I got to work on, I know a lot of people, how do I get them down that gravy train, if you will? And I may get people that are, interested. They may even sign an exclusive right to represent agreement, but for whatever reason, I can't get them to buy anything. They can't seem to find anything, or, they're just not sure this is the right time, or whatever. There's another place that you've got to hone your skills and be able to educate them to make the right decision. For some of them, it may not be the right time. I'm in the process right now of writing the article for the next newsletter and for the thing that'll go in the online daily progress real estate section. And it's on what sellers need to know in selling their homes. Well, one of the things that the sellers need to know in selling homes is this isn't the right time for you to sell your home. And for us to be honest enough to be able to tell them, you might want to think about, I know you want to buy that house over there, you might want to think about going FHA and only putting 3.5% down and keeping this home for now and renting it because you can get a good rent for it or whatever. Or you might think about just taking a chill pill and doing some renovations and stuff to just be happy where you are because you can't find what you're looking for. And that's what people are looking for. People are looking for people who really want to look out after their best interests. But the point being is you can't do that unless you have people to talk to. You can't do that unless you can get those people to earn the right to have those conversations with them. And but the bottom line is, in training or as you go through this and working with buyers and working with sellers, you'll begin to see where you're strong and where you're weak. And where you're weak, if we're not teaching that class, tell me, we need to have a class on this. And we'll do it, or we'll send you to this or that, or whatever. As an example, from a standpoint of lead generation, as far as building your sphere of influence. If you have the time, at the end of March, I'd really encourage you to sign up when we do that for the Buffini 2-day retreat in Richmond. It's a great 2 days. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of our folks there. Some people just drive down both days. Some people spend the night. But that's a great place to really, just for 2 days, just sort of think about who is it that I'm trying to reach out to? How do I reach out to them? How do I make them choose me versus somebody else? We all, people that we know, for the most part, they know other realtors, right? It may even be a neighborhood that you want to specialize in, and you know that there's somebody that's marketing that neighborhood. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means you have to be better than that person. But I think even more than that, it means that you have to build relationships with those people in that. Because the person is doing really well in there, they're doing it on a track record, they're doing it on their, marketing, however they're marketing to get there. But what you can do is what I call the swamp box strategy, and I'm dating myself, but Francis Marion was this amazing American Revolutionary war hero, and they call it swamp box because he had the movie Patriot. That's who Swamp Fox was. That's who Francis Marion was. He was a guy who had a ragtag group of people, and they'd hide in the bushes. And the British would come marching in just in their rows, and they'd go in and shoot them all down, and then get on their horses and run away, and hide for another day. And the point of being the Swamp Fox method is that what you're doing is you're going under the radar screen, and you're building relationships with the people there without that person who has had the business knowing that you're there. And slowly but surely you build rapport, you gain credibility, you show the people who care over a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden they're calling you, or initially they're calling you and that person. And you're interviewing and you're competing against that person. But ultimately what ends up happening is they don't call the other person. They just come to you, and that listing goes up, and that person who thought they had control of that market, what just happened here? And all of a sudden you've established yourself and you're moving forward. So So again, build rapport, gain credibility, show people you care. It's a simple thought process that just helps me focus on what's important. And it's not just about what's important in my business. I use the same thing in the way I am with my personal relationships. As I'm out in the market, as I'm out in the community, whether it's on a board or doing this or doing that, I'm constantly thinking, how do I build rapport with this person? How do I gain credibility with this person? How do I show them that I care? And it may be, different ways. And, some people, they're naturals. They're naturals at building rapport. Some of us aren't. And what I would say, as an example of just, piece of advice, if you're not somebody who you think is just, able to do that very well, then when you're in a situation or you're with a person, just start asking questions. Just start asking questions about them, because everybody likes to talk about themselves. And depending on their marriage relationship, depending on the way they've grown up, maybe they haven't had much chance to talk, right? And so you start asking them, where are you from? What do you like to do when you're not working? Blah, blah, blah. And let them, and then as they tell you something, ask another question, what I call open questions, right? The ones that start with W, why, what, where, when, how, with a W in front of it. All of them can't be answered with yes or no. So how did you end up in Charlottesville? Or when did you decide to? And the next thing you know, you're building rapport. And somewhere in there, they'll be talking about something that you have expertise in, or they ask you a question, and that's where you begin to gain credibility. And then ultimately, and this is the key, showing them you care, but even more importantly, that having a system in place to show them you care. When you're talking about personal promotion, it is emotional and it is relational, but that doesn't mean it can't be systematic. Some of us are really good at juggling a lot of balls in the air and that kind of thing, but the rest of us need to have reminders, right? And so whether it's Microsoft Outlook, whether it's Top Producer, whether it's whatever CRM you're using, contact management system you're using, you've got something in place that reminds you, as this morning, it's Alex Hicks's birthday, right? And maybe I would have remembered that, but probably not. But this morning I got a note that said, hey, it's Alex Hicks's birthday. So I'm able to send him an email saying, hey, Alex, happy birthday. Hope everything's great. Or, that somebody's, headed out on a trip, right? And they're going to be back on February 10th, right? Well, on February 7th, you note such and such is due back from their safari trip, or such and such is due back from such and such on February 10th. So on February 7th, you write them a note, personal note. Dear Sarah, hope the trip went great. Or, and I'll get to this in a bit, I know, not because Sarah told me, but because I follow Sarah on Facebook, that her daughter broke her arm, right? Broke her arm. The happiest person breaking an arm I've ever seen. I mean, this guy looks like she just got a Christmas present, right? And I mean, it's hilarious. And is she still that way? Is her attitude still there? Yeah.
Getting a little
Yeah. But anyway, the point being is, I know that happens, so I'm able to follow up with Mike and Sarah and say, how's she doing, right? But not just by posting on the Facebook page, and we'll get into that. Because we have a system and because we have a contact management system, we can go in and we can, if it's appropriate, email them, or if it's appropriate, send them a note, or whatever the case. But you're doing something different than everybody else. Okay, and we'll get into that.
That actually ties in. I don't know if any of you guys were at the Big Stage event last week, but the speaker, and I can't remember his name now, but
Sean Carpenter.
really good. And basically that's what he was saying, like, you want to be in the conversation, and it doesn't have to be real estate related.
Yep.
It's just, if you show people you care and you're a problem solver on anything, they're going to think of you that way for other things.
Yeah, exactly. And where I just said earlier, first and foremost, it's about being in the conversation. Okay, and that could be present in a conversation. So you're involved in civic things, church things, sports things, whatever. That you're involved. John, I know, is involved in a group of guys who play golf together, and it's a 12, 16 people on an email list, and they play golf, and they go to Burton's, and they do all those kind of things. And the reason I know that is I'm on the list, I just never get to go.
We're gonna drop you off here pretty soon.
I know it. They keep on trying to drop me off, and then I remind them, hey, I didn't get the last email, and, hey, by the way, I can play Wednesday, or I can play Saturday. But anyway, the point being is, every place I can be a part of the conversation. Wintergreen, completely different market, right? Can't have any signs in the yards as far as for sale. And so people have to find out what's on the market in a different way. We're proud of the fact that 10 years ago, we changed that mountain forever in regards to the way properties did before that. It was all hidden. This company had listings, and this company had that. Boy, don't tell each other, because I just want to sell our listings. We don't want people to know that you have a listing over here. So when we became WRPP, the first thing we did is we created a list so that somebody could come into the office and get a list of every listing on the mountain. They drove the competitors crazy enough that they sued us, and tried to sue us for antitrust, and that we were, price fixing it. In fact, the funny thing is that it got dropped out of court after a lot of money that was spent, but it got dropped. You know why it got dropped? Because we did the exact opposite. We opened up the market. All of a sudden, people knew that there were houses on the market they had no idea. I mean, Steve can tell you stories of neighbors who moved in, and they were really happy, and they said, yeah, we just moved in a month ago. I said, what do you mean you just moved in a month ago? Yeah, we bought a house. Oh, I didn't know this house was on the market. Well, it's because the other agent never told them, because it wasn't one of theirs. And so the point being is, that's a completely different thing. Steve lives up there, he's socially involved, he's part of lots of conversations, and one of the reasons that he's been successful is he's been able to turn that into to business. So build rapport, gain credibility, showing you care. Reputation is the key to generating business. Your reputation is so important. I read something just this morning about character and reputation, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get this right. I think it was John Wooden that said it, but character is more important than reputation, because character is who you really are. Reputation is who you have made people to think you are. An interesting sort of thought process that you can go out there and you might have, it may not be the best of people, but man, you faked it really well. But the point being is, at some point, your character will win, and ultimately that can, if your character is not what it's supposed to be, it can tarnish, obviously, your reputation. And once your reputation gets tarnished, man, I mean, we're seeing it big time right now in the world, right? People who have had all the success in the world, and they are dropping like flies because their character stunk, right? And the social media has just, made that even more crazy. We actually stayed at the Leading RE Conference. We actually stayed in the Wynn Hotel, and yesterday he resigned from the empire he built because of his character or lack thereof in regards to women and things. So your reputation is key, and it's all about building relationships. It's all about earning the right. It's all about being seen, being known, and being heard. And what I would say even more than that is, if people feel known by you and people feel cared for by you, they will, except for the exceptions, they will gravitate towards you. Because in this world, there's not enough of that going on. There's not enough of wanting to know another person and wanting to care for another person. I lead the hospitality effort at our church, and we've got these 6 teams of people that every 6 weeks you're responsible for greeting. And what I say to people is, if everybody that walks through the door feels known and cared for, 1, they're going to have a good experience there. 2, maybe they're going to hear something that will impact their lives and for good. But if people don't feel known and don't feel cared for, even the smallest things become an issue. Even the smallest things become an issue, whether it's, the door didn't get opened when the person was going to the nursery area, or whatever. So this whole aspect of making people feel known and cared for is so important. Questions about any of that, or thoughts that you have that jump out at you after what I've shared so far? Okay, so Every single person can accomplish what we just talked about. And the cool thing about real estate is that every one of us can do it a different way. That's why I got in the business. I got in the business, I've been in sales, and I got in the real estate business because I was gonna be my own boss. I was gonna be able to do it my way. I wasn't gonna have somebody telling me I had to do this or do that. And the bottom line is, if it didn't work, the only person I had to blame was myself. You know, that this is the way I wanna do it. I'm not gonna be a cold caller. I'm not gonna be a, this or that. I'm gonna do it my way. And my way was about building relationships and having people feel known and cared for. So as we go through this, all of you will have different ways that will jump into you that, oh, I can do that. Or I can make that happen. Or I can't do it that way, but I can do it this way. And one of the classic examples of this for me, and some of you heard me tell the story, I had an agent come into my office one day and we had just talked about prospecting or whatever. And she came in and she said, "Do you have a minute?" And I said, "Sure." And she sat down just like this. Arms crossed, just rigid as can be. And she said, "I just need to tell you something." I went, "Okay, I'm ready." She goes, "I'm not cold calling." And I said, "Okay." She said, "No, you don't understand. I don't like the phone, and I'm not going to cold call and try to generate business." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Well, you don't have a problem with that?" "No, I don't have a problem with it." "Really? You don't have a problem with it?" No. "Well, you were just talking about prospecting and creating business and whatever, and I just don't like the phone." I said, "Well, I get that. That's no problem. And I'm not going to make you. It's your business. You need to run it your way. So you don't have to do that." "Seriously? You're okay with that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, okay." And she said, "But can I ask you something?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "So how do you want to make contacts? How do you want to generate this? What do you feel comfortable doing?" And she said, "Well, I love talking to people." I said, "Okay, well, let's talk about that. But you don't like to talk to them on the phone?" "Oh, no, I'm not going to talk to them on the phone." I totally get that. I said, how are you with, meet people for the first time?" "Oh, it's great. No problem." "Well, maybe open houses on Sundays would be a good thing for you to do. And you can, do that." "Yeah, I'd be good with that." "Okay, so how are you going to get people to come to those open houses? I know you're not going to call, right? What are you going to do?" And so we worked this strategy out about flyers into the neighborhood, stopping by, inviting people to the open house, and got to the place of finding that she didn't mind calling somebody if she had a reason for calling. She didn't want to just call people just because they were a number. So we worked out this whole strategy about flyers, open houses, sign-ups, and then following up with those people. What did you think about the house? What did you think about the other houses I told you about? Blah, blah, blah. And she ended up becoming a really quite successful realtor, probably $4 to $5 million volume in a $250,000, $300,000 average sales price. So she did quite well. She ended up moving to California and stayed in the business there and did quite well. But the point being is, each of us are going to do it a different way. But the key is, how are we going to do it? First thing, reach out to everyone you know, no matter what their business. All of you who have come to the company, that's one of the first things I say to you when we talk about announcements. Think about the list that you're going to send the information to, and that when you call them up to follow up on that announcement or that letter or whatever you've done, and you say, "Hey, this is John," or maybe "This is John Green," they don't say, "Who is that?" They say, "Well, who are you?" Well, it may have been John. It might be John's third grade teacher that he sent an announcement to, or maybe somebody that he worked with at ACAC, or maybe one of the guys in the golf group, or maybe his involvement with the Boy Scouts, or maybe whatever. But when he calls them up, they know who John Green is. And so we want to make sure that we reach out to everybody we know, no matter what their business, because you never know who they might know. And the example that's in here, and it's dated, it doesn't even come close to the number now, but it's something that I got a few years ago, that behind every person, there's 285 people that they impact. That ripple effect of impact. So this person knows you, and somebody, and I'll give you an example. Bert Abbott called me yesterday, and I'm talking to Bert, and we're talking about a number of different things, and she said, "I haven't had a chance yet to meet John Green." And I said, "Well, Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm just wondering.
Yeah, she said, and I don't even know who it was, but she said, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and who's a good friend of mine, and they raved about John Green, and about the kind of person John Green is, and about how lucky Roy Wheeler is to have John Green in our office. So Bird said, I haven't met this guy, but this person out of the blue just said, and so I don't know where they were in that 285, but somewhere John Green impacted somebody here, and they ended up in Bird's line, just as they're in John Green's line, just as they're in Barb Kelly's line, just as Clint.
They're gonna use Bird or John.
What do you mean? Oh, that's right, that's exactly right. Well,
She got to say on the
and by the way, Bird
But
did,
you're a nice person.
but, right, and by the way, nothing against Bird, but she didn't tell me who the name was that told her. So she doesn't want John Mellon, this person thinks they're great. But,
She'll help find it out. Hey,
But anyway, so when I saw it, think about one of those carnival mirrors where you stand and look in the mirror and there are lots of you behind it. Some of those mirrors we don't mind looking at. Other mirrors, we don't like seeing 285 of what we really look like. You know, in all honesty, there was a mirror in the Wynn Hotel in the conference area that it was in the bathroom, and I loved going in there because when in there, it made me look really skinny in a good way. Not one of these like beam things, but just like, okay, this is how I really envision myself. And I go to the next mirror and go, oh, not so good, not so good. But anyway, so there's all these people behind us, and we need to reach out to everybody because we never know who we're going to touch. And one of the things that I don't think anybody does really well, or not a lot of people, is we're not even reaching out to the people that we do business with and asking for business from them, whether it's a dry cleaner, whether it's a mechanic, whether it's the accountant, whether it's whatever. We're coming and giving them business. Why shouldn't we be saying, hey, if you ever hear of anybody who's thinking about buying or selling, I would love the opportunity to work with those folks, and especially, it's a restaurant manager or whatever that sees you there a lot and knows that you're investing in their business. Why shouldn't they want to help you invest in yours? So, but anyway, it's probably 10 times that now with social media, maybe even more than that. I mean, if you've got, well, as an example, we did that commercial for the Super Bowl, right? And we posted online. We did Facebook, we did a boost. The last time I looked, 2,200 people had been reached by that ad. Well, 2,200 people have been reached. Well, if 3 of them share it with somebody else, and they've got 1,500 people on their Facebook page, all of a sudden that number is just, out the wazoo in regards to the people that get impacted. So that being said, when a customer comes to you with a positive story about their experience, I don't know how you do this, but in your testimonial, well, one of the other agents said a really good, one of your clients said was a really good guy. I mean, that could be in your agent profile testimonial, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's right.
It must have been my wife.
But when a customer comes to you with a positive story about their experience with how you do business, get them to write it up and then forward the email to your customer database so that they can, folks can be constantly reminded of what a great job your company does day in, day out. Have them send it to me. That's one of the nice things about the surveys. We send these surveys out, and when the buyers and sellers send them back, not only does Chris post them onto your agent profile, but one of the best things that I do during my day is I write notes to you guys and say, hey, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And we put it back in your mailbox so that you have it, right? And the nice thing about it is you can add that into your listing presentation and your buyer representation interview, so that they can see people that you've worked with in the past and what things they're saying about you. Some of you have heard me say this before. In my listing presentation 100 years ago when I was selling, there wasn't any digital. But I had this fancy notebook, 3-hole punch and all this stuff, and sheet protectors and all those kind of things. But I actually had file folders of for sale by owner testimonials, expired listings testimonials, buyer testimonials, geographic farming testimonials. And when I went to do the presentation, I'd open up the binder, unclick it, and I'd put in the testimonials that were prevalent for them, whether it be for sale by owner or an expired owner. And this is crazy, again, before cell phones too. when I got to that part of my presentation, and I'd say, you know, I'm here this morning or this evening or whatever, I'm here interviewing for a job. And the job is to market your house to get it sold. Or the job is to help you find a house for you and your family to buy and move your family into. And therefore, when you apply for a job, you should have some sort of resume, and you should have references. And I have, you know, put together some references of people that I've worked with. And this is a true story. I would open the book, and I would say, hey, would you mind, I need to check with my wife. One of my children is not feeling well. Could I just use your phone for a minute? They'd say, fine. I go in and I call the weather. 936-1212. And I just listen to the weather and say, hey, Dottie, everything, because I wanted them to read those while I was out of the room. And I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable about reading them when I was sitting there. But I wanted them to read them because what was I doing? I was gaining credibility at that point because other people had written how I'd gone about helping them and done things. And so they read those, and it just put me farther down the path with these folks. But man, this guy, I mean, not only, you know, in business, but he's got all these people there. And it would be about for sale by owners, or it would be about expireds, or it would be about whatever geographic farming or wherever that seller or buyer was coming from, it would be, you know, it would be consistent with who I was talking to. So go ahead.
One of my clients from last fall had not sent in one of the surveys, but I just recently came across the thank you note that they had written me right after this closing. I thought, oh, this one line, one or two sentences, that would be good on my bio profile. So after Chris got back from Las Vegas the other day, I gave it to him and he said, oh, sure.
Yep.
We'll put that in.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, perfect. The other thing you do is create a flyer of these testimonials and use that, especially if you're marking yourself into a geographic neighborhood or you're marking yourself into a particular organization, whatever, to be able to send something out and say, hey, I'd love to earn the right to do your business. Here are some things people have said about how I've helped them. It's powerful stuff. It's really powerful. You know, I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but you know, a few months ago I had Jay, you know, do that. He had testimonials from agents who had used him, and he did a flyer, and I went out to everybody, and people said to me, man, it makes a difference knowing that other agents have used him and have had such a good experience. Same thing for you. You know, other people have used you and had a good experience makes all the difference.
I would also say, don't be afraid to be persistent to get those testimonials.
Yeah.
Because people are just busy and but if you did a good job, they want to give them to you, they just might need a little extra.
Yeah. The other thing I would say as well is when you get them back and they're positive, go on Zillow and see if they've added them into Zillow, because through some agent that gave us the idea, that's now on that survey that please go to Zillow. If they haven't, then, you know, email back, say, thank you so much for this. And by the way, in case you miss it, there's a link where you can do a review for me on Zillow or whatever. And that's huge. When somebody, it really helps you when somebody's out searching on Zillow or something, you know, and your reviews are popping up. That's a huge thing.
We should probably send them one, shouldn't we?
Yeah, well, it's in the survey, but yeah, exactly. Email and say, thank you so much for these kind words. And by the way, if you didn't, here is the link to go into Zillow. I mean, you click on that, it opens right up for them to do that.
And I do it another way too, like after somebody closes, I send them like a congratulations email, thank you for, you know, allowing me to do business with you. You will be receiving a survey from my broker, you know, look for that in the mail. Also, you can, and then I attach the link.
Perfect.
And just say, you know, thank you for your time, this is really important for everyone.
You know, Charlie and John do some open house stuff and for models for Craig, and you know these things are all perfect as it relates to that, as people are coming in and figuring out a way to build rapport, gain credibility, show people who care enough that they're gonna, you know, leave the information and the opportunity for you to follow up with them, and you know, obviously within Craig Builder's guidelines, but there's great opportunities there. Use an open house on the back page. Use an open houses to promote yourself and not just the home you're hosting. This is a huge one, you know, and you know, we talk about this in maximizing an open house, that class, but this is a huge one where people, I think, you get so, you know, right before this it said thinking outside the box when contacting your sphere of influence. You know, thinking about different things that that other people haven't thought about in regards to how to invite people to things. So using an open house, most people think about open house, okay, I'm gonna do an open house on Sunday, so I'm gonna put an ad in, I'm gonna put a sign up, I'm gonna pray somebody comes. I mean, that's kind of the 3-point strategy. But it's so much more than that. If you can take the blinders off and see all the different opportunities to market yourself using the open house. This is using that open house for a reason, for knocking on doors in the neighborhood and inviting the neighbors. Holding this house open on Sunday, and would love for you to stop by and take a look at it. And if you know somebody who you'd like to have as your neighbor, please hand them this flyer and ask them to come. To the point of even doing a nosy neighbor hour. So you're doing an open house from 1 to 4. Well, from 12 to 1, you just do a personalized invitation just to the neighbors. And say, I'm going to be holding this house open today from 1 to 4, but from 12 to 1, it's not going to be advertised as open. It's only be for you. I'm going to serve refreshments, and 1, it gives you a chance to get to know the people, build rapport with them, gain credibility, show you. But 2, it just is a different way. 3, if they go to sell their house at some point, they're going to remember that you did that, and they've never heard or seen anybody else do that, and said, well, I'm going to reach out to them because they obviously are marketing things in a different way. And again, if you go to the Roadmap for Success, there's a that we've emailed out. If you don't have it, just email Megan and she'll send it to you. But there's a whole section on maximizing an open house, and we teach that from time to time, that you can go and get the outlines and see all that. Consider holding happy hours or dinners so you can personally network with your sphere of influence and within networks that will positively impact your business. A number of agents have done this, whether it's giving out pies at Thanksgiving, or Karen Dow and Julie did a little deal down at Sevo Coffee where they had that back room and they served wine and had I think they had Carl Gare from Movement Mortgage and an insurance guy help pay for it. They got a couple different people to co-market it with them, and they had, it's just this really nice event where 15 or 20 people were there, and they're meeting each other, and they're figuring out how they know each other. And one client's talking about, oh yeah, if you're going to buy a house, you really should use such and such. I mean, it's a great place to have those people be ambassadors for you. It doesn't have to cost a great deal of money, especially if you get a couple different people to co-market with you. The guidelines say that let's say, for instance, it's Jay or it's Carl, and it's Katie from Charlottesville Settlement, and it's whoever from an insurance standpoint, you can split that 4 ways. They can't pay for the whole thing because RESPA says that. But if there's 4 people generating business, instead of it costing you $200, it only costs you $50, right? Or even better than that, you work out the venue and get the manager to give you the space for free, and that's your part of the whatever amount of money you're spending. So it may not have to cost you anything because your relationship with that particular person or whatever. Or you could even do like, and we'll do this in the spring, is we'll sponsor one of the movies at Paramount, and we've done that over the last few years. And it says all it is, they stand up on the stage at some point and say this is sponsored by Roy Wheeler, but you can invite your friends there. And you don't have to pay for the tickets. You might, work out, meet people at the door and give them, a free popcorn or something like that. But you don't even pay for the tickets. Hey, come on, Roy Wheeler's sponsoring, this movie. Come by, find me at the front door. I'll give you a ticket for free popcorn. And there you go. And so you don't have to do any of the cleanup or set up or anything. And it's just a good feeling. There are all sorts of things like that you can do. I talked about the Pie Day. Mike Peters, I always talk about Mike Peters. Mike literally buys out Lowe's at Christmas time. I think he buys every $3 poinsettia that they have. And he sticks them all in his car, in his Jeep. And as he's driving around town, he stops by and drops these poinsettias off at people's houses. And sometimes they're home and sometimes they're not. But he's got a little card that says, sorry, I missed you, here's your, poinsettia. And he buys them in bulk, so he gets a great price for them. And then he works his tail off for a week or so going around and doing that. But he says it's unbelievable the return on investment on those things. The story he told this year, which is, great. I love the warm, fuzzy parts of our business. It was an older gentleman, and I don't think many people come to visit him, and he knocked on the door, and Mike said it was just incredibly hard to even leave because the guy's so grateful to see him and he really appreciated it. And he's driving out the driveway and the guy's standing at the front door still waving at him, you know, as he drove out the driveway and went down the road. But anyway, you know, do something that you're comfortable with, and it doesn't have to be expensive, you know. Again, wine and cheese around the holidays, or you might invest in buying some of the Roy Wheeler bottles of red wine and use that as, you know, for your key people. You just want to stop by, and I don't know if you know this, but our company blends their own wine. I want you to have a bottle of it. And then we talked about the business sphere of influence. You never know. You might ask them, can I set up an area where my materials are there, and I'll be responsible for keeping them replenished and that kind of thing. And you never know until you ask. Somebody may say yes until then the next realtor comes in and says, hey, why is there stuff here? And they may ultimately ask you, you know, I can't, you know, blah, blah, blah. But bottom line is, it was there for a certain amount of time before that happened, and hopefully, you know, something comes from it. Regular email blast about the industry. We talk about this all the time. This is it costs you no money. The key is to get the emails, to get folks' email addresses. And one of the things I would do is have some fun with that. You know, go to your sphere of influence. If you don't have their emails, send a postcard to them and say, hey, would love to have your email to provide you information about real estate and other things about Charlottesville or whatever. For those of you that send your email in by such and such a day, you'll be entered a drawing for something. You know, tickets to a baseball game, if it's around, you know, Easter, a ham or turkey, a fresh turkey or whatever. You can just be amazed how many people will send that thing back. Or they don't have to send it back, they can just email you, right? Send them a postcard and say, you know, just email me at this address, and yes, I'd like to be added and have your information there, your name, your address, you know, phone number that you'd like to be reached at, and an email address. Well, once you have that, now you've got this incredibly powerful networking tool, because you can get the newsletter that Chris and I put together at the beginning of the month, and you can send that out to everybody and say, hey, here's the Roy Wheeler's February newsletter. It's got pertinent information. It's got vendors in there. Blah, it's got the current new listings, that kind of thing. And then, you know, I send a link to an Inman article about something and that you think is interesting, and so you copy and paste that and send it out to your folks. Hey, this is an interesting thing about you know, what's going on in the marketplace right now. And but anyway, you know, just regular email blasts. You know, Daily Progress sends something out 2-3 times a day, and sometimes you can just click and paste that. It's something that, you know, is good. And the cool thing about that is, you know, trying to think right now, but just think there's something positive that comes out in an email blast at Daily Progress. A lot of things haven't been positive recently, but if something comes positive, the double-edged sword of that is that you copy and paste that and send that out. When they open up that article, halfway through the article, there's a Roy Wheeler ad in it. Because every single one of the local articles that the Seville Tomorrow does, anything that's local to Charlottesville, our ad is embedded in that article. So they get it and boom, there it is, you know, Roy Wheeler. And so it's a double sort of deal. They click on that, it goes to roywheeler.com, and you knowing that, you can say, if you get the time, click on the ad and go to agent and check out my bio, you know, or whatever the case may be. Watch the news, and these are the things that really make a difference, and I'll finish up here. Read papers and send personal notes to all that are in your sphere of influence or their family who you notice being recognized. So just as an example, today, yesterday was signing day. So a lot of local kids signed letters of intent to different schools. They may have been small schools, they may have been big schools. Read that, and if you know one of those people, write that kid a note. Dear such and such, congratulations on signing a letter of intent to go play football or run track or whatever. Wish you the best, right? I once a week sit by myself at Zazu's and have lunch, and I go one page at a time in the Seville. Just looking for things, and I fold them in half and bring them back here, and I write notes to the things that I read about. If you get the Daily Progress, a lot of you don't, but at the end of every year, they do that distinguished dozen where they recognize people in the community. They do 12 of them right at the end of the year. Every morning, I write a note to the person who got that. I don't know them in that situation. Some of them I do, but a lot of them, but I just write them out from the broker road bidder. Hey, congratulations on making a difference in our community. We're really grateful to have you here, that kind of thing. But that systematic discipline of reading through it and writing those notes. Another example of that is when I was, selling and doing geographic learning, I got myself really entrenched in the elementary school. And the reason I got myself entrenched in the elementary school is that the parents were most engaged at the elementary school level. So parent-teacher conferences, back-to-school nights, that kind of thing. And I became a real advocate for the elementary school. And the principal appreciated it so much that she would send me, or have somebody send me, the honor roll every quarter. And I write a push note to every kid who made straight A's in the elementary school on these little postcards. Dear such and such, congratulations again on making straight A's, blah, blah, blah. The cool thing about that is the parents are usually the first ones to see that because they're the ones that get the mail. They read it. They give it to their kid. There's a second thing. And then what ends up happening? It goes up on a bulletin board someplace, right? So I do it because it's I'm encouraging these kids, but it's also from a business standpoint, it just said, boy, he's gone above and beyond. So every quarter, those kids knew that they were going to get that from me. That's just, example.
At the big stage event that Sarah mentioned last week, they made a point of that, and it really hit home for me because, we're all using technology so much every day. You get hundreds of emails and all that. But when you see a handwritten note, he said, when you get home and there's a stack of mail, and you've gone through your email and now you're looking at your mail, first thing that you open up is something that's handwritten.
That's right.
And the impact, his note about that shuttle bus driver, the impact on not only that driver, but the whole company.
Yeah.
Would amazing.
Yeah. So just to finish, and we can talk on and on about this, but you need to be engaged in social media. Going back to the beginning, it's all about being part of the conversation. You don't have to do anything on it other than be on there and friend people that you know or accept friendships from people and then just a couple times a day, a morning and evening, just kind of read through because you're going to learn things about people. And what you're going to do is you're not just going to post on their wall, though sometimes you will, but if they're people you really know, you may just message them on Facebook because that's going to come to them in a different way. It's almost like an email. Or because you know them, you're going to text them, or you're going to email them, or you're going to write them a personal note. You see that somebody got a promotion, or you see that somebody passed away. Whatever the case may be, and depending on where your relationship with that person is. And here's my example. If you're on Facebook and it's your birthday, it is amazing how many people wish you happy birthday, right? But after about the 18th happy birthday, you kind of stop reading through them because it's just what it is, right? And so you're going through and you're doing that, and then finally you'll go, thanks to everybody for noticing that it was my birthday. I really appreciate everybody's well wishes, right? And it's an overall broadcast just to the wall. Whereas if you know the person well enough, then you can go on Facebook and it'll show you birthdays a week in advance. And you go through those, and the people that are really on your sphere of influence, you sit down and you write them a personal note and send in the mail, dear such and such, hope you have a great birthday. How many birthday cards did we used to get? I mean, we have a tradition in our house at birthdays is that you got to put your birthday cards up on the mantle, right? So as the birthday cards came in, you left them up there for a week, so you kind of read through them and be thankful for people appreciating that kind of thing. And you get a ton of them. Now you get like 4 or 5 at the most, right? But Steve, you're absolutely right. When you go to that mailbox, that's the handwritten note. That's the first thing I'm gonna look at and go through. So engage yourself in social media because that's where many conversations are taking place. Creating a Facebook fan page. You've got to have a personal page to have a business page. So if you haven't gotten one yet, get with Chris and create a personal Facebook page. You don't do anything with it once you've created it. You can do everything on the business side. You can just use it to promote yourself as a realtor. But you got to have a personal page before you can have the business page. Twitter is the last thing I would do until you kind of get used to. I'm on Twitter and I think I'm using it effectively. LinkedIn is another place I would go. That's just like an electronic resume. And it's another thing that once you get it put together, if you get a chance, just go on LinkedIn and look at mine, and it's got, all the things that I've done. It's got recommendations from people in regards to managing, as far as community service, as far as teaching. And so I literally can I can send that link to somebody, and I just did it this morning. A company in Ohio is interested in having me possibly come speak. And so I sent them an email and said, you can check me out on Leading RE Speaker Bureau. You can also click on my LinkedIn page and get the information later. So, but anyway, just get yourself committed to it. There you go. Just get yourself committed to it. And it's just one day at a time. Somebody's gonna be a lot farther along than you, but you're gonna start catching up if you start going one step at a time, one day at a time. So, gosh, it's just so much to do. Yes, it is, but you gotta start someplace. And then you do something else the next day, and do something else the next day. And the next thing you know, you're in a lot of different places. I had a question yesterday about, after the business meeting, about how do we stay relevant, right? Well, the way we stay relevant is by continuing to do one thing at a time. When I look at where we were in 2005 when I got here to where we are now in 2017, we're a completely different company. Now, we're not just a completely different company because we have lots more people and more offices, but we're a completely different company in regards to what we've created to allow agents to do business in whichever way they want to do it. And that didn't happen overnight. When I first got here, I was really frustrated because I had this amazing system and setup in Northern Virginia with my office. And we literally had to start recreating that. And it just doesn't happen overnight. I was in that office for 12 years before I came here. And now I've been here for 12 years. So one step at a time, if I do one more thing, if I write one more note, if I make one more call, that's one more than I did the day before. And it just puts me that much farther along. So a couple book recommendations. Who Moved My Cheese? If you haven't read that, it's a real easy read. If you keep on looking for the cheese in the same place and it's gone, you're gonna get really hungry. And then Raving Fans is a great book on customer service. Our job is to just create raving fans with everybody we know. That when somebody says, it's like Bird, somebody says John Green, they go, oh my God. Steve Marino, oh my gosh, this person did this for me, that person. That's what that book's about. All right?
Okay.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Steve, we might as well just stay right in here.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I got my number. I don't know who she was trying to text.
Well, she's texting students.
So,
And so
okay.
it must have been,